So I've got a unique one for you all today. I've got these two prints. They come off the same exact printer. Well, not the same exact, the same style of printer. Two different printers, but the same exact one. Not this one. King Rune's over here. So it came off two different those two at the top. And I'm getting two totally different prints, even though it was sliced at the exact same time and saved to both cards. So what do we have here? Looks like a really smushed print. Quite a bit of over extrusion. And over here, it looks like under extrusion. So what is the deal with this, guys? I know, but I'll give you a moment in the comments to mention it. But look, delamination entirely. And just completely, over extruded. Now this is okay actually. For this particular print, there's a lot of room for error in this one, so this is still a complete print, but not what we want our prints to come out like, right? Surprisingly enough, I'm going to place a bet that the problem is the exact same on both of them. The nozzle. I bet you this nozzle has started to wear out, and we're looking at probably a 0.8 to a 1 nozzle now, and it's hollowed out that 0.6 and is over extruding. And I think on this one, that nozzle is partially clogged, and I've heard it kind of clicks some, and it's not extruding as much as fast as I want it to, so it's doing this. So just be aware, you could have a problem that creates completely different effects, but can be, something as simple as a nozzle or a throat. Now, I feel pretty confident about this. I just wanted to kind of do this out as a video that a nozzle can cause both a bad nozzle can cause over extrusion and under extrusion. And it's quite interesting to have both at the same exact time on two printers right next to each other. But, as I'm doing my production this morning, I literally just, pulled that one off this one over extrusion, pulled the other one off this one under extrusion. So what I'm going to do right now is heat both of them up, change the nozzles out to 0.6s, and, well, back to new 0.6s, brand new ones. We'll take the nozzle out, purge it first. That's very important because the clog could be right above the nozzle in the throat area. So you either want to purge some filament through and cut it, or use a little metal pin and shove that through, and you can get better results from your printers. So that's the lesson for today. Bad nozzle, same machine, two different machine, same type of machine, two different ones can cause two different types of problems. So watch out for your nozzles over time hollowing out. If that is actually the case there, that'll be like the third time I've ever noticed that happening. It possibly happened more in the past, but it is rare to have a nozzle wear out like that. But there are some filaments that use powder to color their filament, and I found that that's generally the type of filament that ends up ruining a nozzle. And you can see some major evidence of it on this one. All that orange powder was actually a very dark red fire engine red filament, and within 1 to 2 rolls, maybe even 3, it had completely hollowed that nozzle out from a 0.6 to a 1.75. I could stick the whole line all the way through it cold. And it printed like that successfully for a couple prints. It definitely messed the prints up and they weren't looking good, but it was successfully printing like that, so I was kind of impressed, but also just like, dang it, because that was a production print. But yeah, just be aware, maintenance your printers. That's a part of having a print farm, is literally maintaining them daily. Mark, I know you're probably watching, so you know about this. How many you got down at the moment? Put it down in the comments if you got a print farm and how many are down. It'll just be kind of funny to see. If I'm going to count ones that are down, it's at least, those two for a second. They're just nozzles though, so that won't be long. That one's pretty much ready to go, but I just need to put the thermistor back in the hole. That's it. That one does need, I think it had a hard jam, so that one needs to be repaired. This one here, I had a client bring in. It's not mine, but he did so much to this that, and he's got it so messed up that I am choosing not to repair it. I gave him a quote of $400, which I think is about accurate for the amount of time it would take for me to fix everything that was done wrong on this. Just to be obvious here, the smart filament sensor doesn't go after the extruder, because your gear here will stop and you'll have filament right here and it won't be pushing it, and it won't ever pass the filament sensor. So that filament sensor needs to be out here, but that doesn't cost $400 to fix. But like, he's got 2 different couplings, one of them's not in the right place. He's also flashed multiple firmwares on it. He put a BL Touch on it. He put this Noctua fan on it, which the Noctua fan might work. It also might not. It might cause heat creep because it doesn't run enough CFMs. The BL Touches are notorious to be hard to work with. It'd be one thing if the firmware was completely working and it otherwise just needed some tuning, but this needs like this. I'll have to get into this and probably jack with the firmware more. I did a quick look at it, and it's just like, yeah, you've done a lot of cool things to it, like 2 different, there's just a lot of things that it's just like, this is a 2-phase printer, and that you did a bunch of stuff to this side, but not this side, and you did stuff to the motherboard, and now it homes all the wrong direction and everything else like that. You bring me a printer like this that you've heavily modified and then got to a position in where it's not even in a tunable state. I've got to essentially, from the ground up, figure out what's wrong with it again. It's going to cost more than, in my opinion, what it's worth. So, I tried being like, hey, for $350, I've got a printer over there that can get you going, or for, $200. No, he wants this one. So he can, his impression was for essentially like $20 to $60, I could just in 1 hour make this thing work with magic. And he even used the term, just work your magic. And I get it. It is kind of a magic thing. It is kind of a unique skill to try to fix these things, but it's just one that without, covering my butt, I don't want to spend 2 or 3 weeks trying to fix that thing. And, he expected me to have it done in essentially 1 day for not very much monies. And no offense to the client whatsoever. I totally understand not having a higher budget at times, and you have spent some good money on it. I'd like to see it work too. But, yeah, you got to watch out about heavily modifying your machine, especially if it was working good in the first place. A lot of people wind up calling me and saying, hey, I did this, and this to the printer, and now it doesn't work.